Welcome to Somatic Shadow Work for Sleep, a meditation series that recalibrates the thoughts, actions, and habits that govern your daily life. Your guide in these meditations is Seth Cherepak, author of Awaken Your Shadow and founder of somatic axiology. These meditations speak to your dominant form of intelligence, known by cognitive neuroscience as value intelligence. Value intelligence, or VQ, operates upstream of your intellectual intelligence, IQ, and your emotional intelligence, EQ. VQ is the decentralized intelligence sprawling throughout your entire being, like an underground root system feeding every branch above it and the fruit it bears. This is how somatic axiology succeeds in delivering on the promises made by the schools of New Age energy healing, which address mainly your EQ, and conventional methods like positive affirmations and mindset programs, which address mainly your IQ. Somatic axiology speaks to your VQ. Listen to this in a place where your attention is free to shift from the worries and cares of the external world into the rich architecture of your internal world, where your transformation begins. In this episode, Activating Your Adventurous Self, Seth guides you on a journey into the part of you that learned to play it safe, to shrink the dream, and to quietly dismantle the good things right as they became real. This is your first step toward building a life you're allowed to keep, instead of one you keep escaping.
We will begin our journey with 4 deep breaths. Breathe in quickly, feeling your belly expand. Hold as your body begins to relax and your mind begins its descent. Breathe out, feeling your body relax and your mind descending deeper. Breathe in again, feeling your belly expand more and more, and hold. Breathe out slowly as your body relaxes more and more, and your mind descends deeper and deeper. Breathe in again, your belly expanding more and more and more. Hold. Now begin the slow release, your body relaxing more and more, your mind descending deeper and deeper and deeper. Breathe in a final time, your belly expanding fully. Hold. Now breathe slowly out, your body relaxing completely, your mind descending deeper and deeper and deeper, all the way to the deepest part, the part beyond your thoughts, beyond your feelings, and beyond your conscious reach. You are now completely relaxed and at peace. It's late, and you are lying still. But nothing inside you is still. There is an engine running in your chest. You can feel it right now. Even as you listen, a low, restless horsepower humming beneath the ribs, a motor built for distance, idling in a parked body in a dark room, revving, with no track to drive on. This is not self-help. This is somatic shadow work. Not motivation, not productivity advice for the man who cannot finish what he starts. Not another set of tips on discipline for the man who has all the discipline in the world. Right up until the moment the finish line comes into view, Somatic shadow work is the descent beneath the language, beneath the to-do list, beneath the carefully crafted explanation you have given other people for the third project that fell apart this year, into the body of a man whose sacred hunger for movement got twisted somewhere into a compulsion to destroy. So let us go there slowly tonight, right where you are. Notice the engine. Feel it. That tightness high in the chest that does not belong to anxiety. Anxiety is a flinch. This is different. This is a pressure, a horsepower, a force pressed up under the sternum like the foot of a man pressing an accelerator to the floor while the gear stays locked in neutral. The motor screams. The wheels do not turn. And all that force has nowhere to go but inward. So it pools in the chest, in the jaw, in the hands that keep wanting to clench around something that is not there. Your legs feel it too. A faint electric restlessness behind the knees. The phantom urge to stand up, to pace, to move, to drive somewhere at 2 in the morning for no reason at all. And your stomach, that hollow humming agitation, not hunger for food, hunger for motion, hunger for an edge, hunger for something that finally feels real. This is the engine with no track, and you have learned to live with it, the way a man learns to live with a sound in the walls, the way you stop hearing the highway outside the window until the one night it goes silent, and the silence is louder than the noise ever was. That is what these nights are. The silence where you finally hear the engine, because in the daylight, you keep it fed. You give it tasks. You give it deadlines. You give it problems to solve and fires to put out and inboxes to empty. You bury the hum under motion that looks productive. And from the outside, it works. From the outside, you look like a man who is going somewhere. Maybe you are the high achiever, the one people rely on, the one who gets it done. Maybe you are the deep one, the thinker, the one whose mind never stops turning the world over looking for the pattern underneath. Either way, the world sees competence. The world sees a man in motion, but the world does not lie where you lie at night. The world does not feel the engine, and here is the thing you have never quite said out loud, even to yourself. Your life is stable, and some hidden part of you wants to take a match to it. Not because it is broken, not because anyone wronged you, not because there is a real problem you could point to, but because it is too quiet, too settled, too safe, because the engine was built for the frontier, and you have given it a parking space. And so the hunger turns strange. It stops asking for adventure. It starts asking for damage. Because to a starving engine, destruction at least feels like motion. Watch how it moves through your days. There is something you should be finishing, something good, something almost done, and you cannot make yourself touch it. You sit down to do it, and the engine revs sideways, and suddenly you are doing anything else, anything but the thing that would actually move your life forward. This is the procrastination that confuses you, because you are not lazy. You know you are not lazy. You can work like a machine when the thing is new, when the thing is exciting, when the thing has the smell of risk on it. But the moment it becomes maintenance, the moment it becomes steady, the moment it asks you to simply continue, the engine refuses, because the engine does not want to continue. The engine wants to cross. And so you stall, you delay, you let the good thing rot on the vine, and you tell yourself a story about why. Bad timing, lost interest, not the right fit after all. But underneath the story is the hum, the engine, bored, starving, looking for an edge that the finish line could never give it. And on the nights when procrastination is not enough, the engine reaches for something stronger. It reaches for the crisis. You know this man. You have been this man. The man who, when life finally goes calm, feels the calm as a kind of suffocation. And without quite deciding to, starts a fire, a reckless purchase, a reckless message, a reckless argument with someone who did not deserve it, a sudden decision that detonates the very thing he worked years to build. And in the moment the fire catches, there is a flood of something that feels almost like relief. Because finally, the engine has somewhere to go. But it does not last. It never lasts. The fire burns down. The adrenaline drains. And you are left standing in the wreckage of something good. More tired than you have ever been. And this is the exhaustion no one understands about you. Because from the outside, it looks like you keep getting unlucky. It looks like chaos keeps finding you. But you are not unlucky. And the chaos did not find you. You are running an engine at full throttle, with one foot jammed on the brake, night after night after night. That is why you are so tired. Not because you do too little, because you spend enormous force building things, and then spend even more force tearing them down, just to feel the heat of motion against your skin. And the world cannot see what this cost you, The world only sees the wreckage. It does not see the man inside the wreckage, who would give anything to know why he keeps reaching for the match. And here is the part that almost no one will say out loud. The world calls you self-destructive. The world is wrong. You are not self-destructive. You are starving for something the world has stopped offering men like you, for a frontier, a real one, for a threshold that asks something of you, for a discomfort you walked into on purpose, for an uncertainty you signed up for with your eyes open, for an initiation that meant something on the other side of it. The engine was not built to be sedated. It was built to cross. And when it cannot cross anything real, it begins to cross things that should not have been crossed. The boundary in the relationship, the promise you made to yourself in January, the good agreement you signed last year, the stable life that did not deserve the match. You did not blow those up because you hate stability. You blew them up because nothing else in your world was offering the engine a threshold to cross. And then you lie here in the dark, staring at the ceiling, the engine still humming beneath the ribs, asking the same question it has asked for years. Where am I supposed to go? And no answer comes. Only the hum, only the pressure, only the restless, sacred horsepower of a man who was built to cross a frontier and was never shown where the frontier was. Stay there. Do not reach for the phone yet. Do not get up. Do not feed it. Do not throw it another small fire to chew on. Just feel the engine, the pressure under the sternum, the hunger in the legs, the agitation in the stomach, the hands that want to grip something they cannot name. Because tonight, for the first time, we are not going to silence the engine. We are going to find out what it was actually built to do and what was done to it by a world that does not know what to do with men who were built for the frontier in a civilization that has paved every road and called the absence of risk safety. So let us go back before the wreckage, back before the projects you abandoned at the threshold, back before the good things you blew up just to feel something move, back to the boy you used to be. Because the engine in your chest tonight was first installed in a body too small to understand what it was for. And then that boy grew up in a world that no longer had any idea what to do with it. Picture him, the boy version of you. He was loud. He was wild. He climbed things he was not supposed to climb. He stood on the highest rock he could find and looked at the edge with something in his eyes that adults did not understand. He did not want to die. He wanted to cross. He wanted to feel the moment when his body stopped being safe and started being alive. There was a fire in him, a specific kind of fire, not the fire of anger, not the fire of rebellion, the fire of expansion, the fire that says, I am not finished. I want to see what is on the other side. I want to find out who I am when no one is watching. I want to be tested by something real. This was not a problem in him. This was a sacred design. Every healthy culture that ever existed knew what to do with this fire. They had a name for it. Initiation. At a certain age, the boys with this fire were taken out of the village, taken away from the women who raised them, taken away from the children they used to play with, taken out into something difficult, a wilderness, a fast, a vision quest, a hunt that demanded real skill, a trial that meant something on the other side of it. They were given a threshold, a line in the actual world that meant the boy stays on this side, the man steps across, and on the other side of that line, older men were waiting, men who had crossed it themselves, men who had names for the things he was about to feel, men who knew how to honor the engine in his chest and give it somewhere real to go. The fire in the boy was not extinguished. It was channeled. The engine was not parked. It was given a road, and the boy who walked back into the village afterward was no longer a boy. The fire was now his. The engine was now his. The threshold he had crossed was now a part of his body, and he carried it with him for the rest of his life. But you were not born into that culture. You were born into this one. A civilization that has paved every road. A civilization that has padded every corner. A civilization that has confused safety with the absence of risk, and has done everything in its power to eliminate the very thresholds your body was built to cross. There was no initiation waiting for you. There was school, a long fluorescent lit corridor of small obediences. Sit down. Be quiet. Raise your hand. Stay in line. Do not run. Do not climb. Do not roughhouse. Do not be too much. And the engine inside you began to confuse adults. They did not have a name for what they were seeing. They saw a boy who could not sit still, a boy who would not focus, a boy who climbed the wrong things, a boy whose body refused to fit inside the chair they had given him. So they invented new names for the fire. They called it a problem. They called it a disorder. They called it a behavioral issue. They called it a phase you would grow out of. They put you in detention. They put you on medication. They put you in front of a screen. They put your fire in every container they could find that would make it smaller, and the boy with the engine did not understand what was happening. He only knew that the thing inside him that wanted to move was being treated as something wrong, that the rooms he was placed inside were not built for him, that the chairs were too small, that the days were too long, that the world around him kept saying, "Calm down," when every cell in his body was screaming the opposite direction. This is the great quiet wound of the modern man. He was born with a sacred engine into a world that had no idea what an engine was for. And here is what happens to a sacred engine that is never given a frontier. It does not go away. You cannot extinguish the engine. The engine is part of you. It is older than the rules of any school. It is older than any pill. It is older than the civilization that did not know what to do with it. But you can mutate it. A starving engine will eat anything. And so the boy began to find his own initiations, small ones at first. The dare on the playground, the thing he was not supposed to climb. The risk he took at the corner of his neighborhood when no adult was watching. The trouble he found on purpose because trouble at least produced a feeling. Then bigger ones. The first drink. The first dangerous friend. The first car driven too fast on a road he did not know. The first lie that almost broke something he loved. He was not bad. He was looking for the threshold, the one no one would give him. This is what no one ever told you about your wilder years. You were not acting out. You were searching for a rite of passage in a civilization that had abolished them. And without older men around you who knew what the fire was for, without elders who had crossed their own thresholds and could hold the line for yours, your initiations went uncontained. Uncontained initiation. This is the name for what happened to you. A boy reaching on his own for a threshold no one could help him cross safely. A fire reaching on its own for fuel no one had taught it how to handle. An engine reaching on its own for a road that did not exist, and tearing up the lawn instead. Sometimes the damage was small. A bruise, a broken arm, a grounding, a lecture. Sometimes the damage was larger. A friendship lost, a girlfriend wounded, a job blown up, a reputation that took years to rebuild. And every time the damage landed, the people around you confirmed what you had already started to believe. That the fire was the problem, that the engine was dangerous, that you would have to spend your life keeping it contained, or it would ruin everything you loved. So you signed a contract, a different contract from the others, not the survival contract of the passive man, not the safety contract of the scrutinizer, The containment contract. The contract that says, I will perform calm. I will perform stability. I will perform the kind of man other people can rely on. And I will keep the engine hidden somewhere down low in my body where it cannot embarrass me again. And you built a life on top of that contract. A career, a relationship, a reputation, a version of yourself the world could understand. But the engine did not honor the contract. The engine never honors the contract. It cannot. It was not built for storage. It was built for crossing. And so every so often, when the life you built on top of it became too quiet, too predictable, too completely free of any frontier worth crossing, the engine would override the contract. It would reach for the fire, but because no one ever taught you what the fire was for, it would reach for the wrong fire. The reckless purchase, the reckless message, the reckless choice that detonated the very life you built to contain it. And in the moment the fire caught, you would feel that strange flood of something almost like relief. Because finally, the engine had found a threshold. Even if the threshold was a cliff. This is the cycle the boy never asked for. Contain the fire, lose the fire, build a life that is unbearable to the fire. Watch the fire return through the only door it can find, which is destruction. And then look at the wreckage and call yourself broken. You are not broken. You are a man with a sacred engine who was never given a sacred road, who keeps making roads with his own bare hands. Out of whatever the world has left lying around. Sometimes that means a business, a creative project, a move across the country, a relationship that finally feels worth crossing into. Sometimes it means an affair, a bottle, a fight, a bridge burned at 3 a.m. The engine does not know the difference. The engine only knows that movement equals being alive, and stillness equals dying. And no one ever taught you any other way to interpret what is humming under your ribs. This is why so many of the men listening to me right now are exhausted. You are not exhausted from doing too much. You are exhausted from carrying a sacred engine through a civilization that built no road for it. You are exhausted from running fast and stopping fast, climbing high and falling hard, building and burning, crossing and recrossing the same invisible threshold inside your own body, because the actual thresholds outside you have all been paved over, and the boy inside you with the fire in his eyes is still standing on the rock at the edge of the field, looking at the horizon, waiting for someone to tell him where the frontier is. Tonight, for the first time, he is going to find out. Not because the world has finally drawn him a map. The world is not going to draw him a map, but because the witness, the quiet observer behind your eyes, has begun to suspect something the boy never understood. That the frontier the engine has been searching for was never out there in the first place. And the man who finally crosses it will not need anyone else's permission to call himself initiated. So come back to now, back to the man in the dark room, back to the bed, back to the engine still humming beneath the ribs of a body that has for 30 years been pretending it does not have one. Because the boy on the rock grew up, he left the field behind. He built a life of his own. He chose a career, a relationship, a city, a version of himself the world could read. And he carried the containment contract with him. He carried it into every room. And tonight we are going to look at exactly what he has done with it. Because here is the secret no one names. The containment contract did not actually contain anything. It just moved the fire underground. And underground fire is not safer. Underground fire is more dangerous because no one can see it, including the man who is burning. Watch how it has lived in your life. You did not become reckless. That is the lie you have been told about yourself. You became something stranger. You became a man who manufactures crisis on a slow, predictable schedule and calls it bad luck. Look at your life from a small distance. Not from inside the story, from outside it. Notice the pattern. Things go well for a stretch. 6 months. A year, maybe 2. The career stabilizes. The relationship deepens. The savings grow. The body recovers. The reputation builds. The life looks for a moment like the life of a man who has finally arrived somewhere. And then without warning, something detonates. A reckless decision, a sudden departure, a fight that did not need to happen, a boundary crossed in a relationship that had been good, a risk taken with money that should have stayed where it was, a burned bridge that did not need to be burned. And you look at the wreckage afterward, and you tell yourself the story you have always told yourself. Bad timing. Bad luck. Bad people. Bad market. A perfect storm that no one could have predicted. But the witness sees something more precise. The storm was not perfect, and it was not unpredictable. You arranged it. Not consciously. You would never have signed off on it consciously. But somewhere in your body, something that has been starving for movement finally found a way to manufacture some. This is what the engine does when there is no real frontier left to cross. It builds artificial ones. artificial danger. This is the cleanest name for what has been running your life. Artificial danger is the fire your engine sets when the world has refused to give it a road. It looks like danger. It feels like danger. It produces the same adrenaline as danger. It activates the same nervous system response as a real threshold being crossed. But it is not real. It is a crisis you generated, so that your body could finally feel something larger than the suffocation of stability. And here is the cruelest part. You cannot tell the difference from the inside. When you are in it, the artificial danger looks identical to a real frontier. The heart pounds. The mind sharpens. The body comes alive. The hours go by without you needing to manage them. The boredom evaporates. The depression lifts. The engine has somewhere to go. So your nervous system rewards you. It rewards you for the manufactured crisis the same way it would have rewarded you for a sacred trial. Because biologically it cannot tell the difference between a wilderness vision quest and a screaming argument at midnight that destroys your engagement. Both produce cortisol. Both produce adrenaline. Both produce the temporary feeling of being intensely, undeniably alive. This is why you keep doing it. Not because you want to ruin your life, but because for one burning hour the artificial danger relieves a hunger you have not been able to name. And then it is over, and the wreckage is real. The vision quest leaves a man with a deeper relationship to his soul. The artificial danger leaves a man with a destroyed relationship to his life. Look at the specifics in your own history. Look at the projects that were almost done, the ones that died at 90%. The book that was finished except for the final chapter, the business that was working except for the one decision that blew it up, the relationship that was beautiful except for the night you said the thing that could not be unsaid. You have called it self-sabotage, but that name is not precise. The engine was not trying to sabotage you. The engine was trying to cross something. And the finishing of a project does not feel like crossing. Finishing feels like landing, and the engine does not know what to do with landing because no one ever taught the engine how to receive completion. No one taught it how to honor an ending. No one taught it how to stand at the finish line and absorb the meaning of what has been done without needing to immediately tear off in another direction. So at the finish line, the engine panics. The engine starts a fire. Anything to avoid the strange, unbearable stillness of having arrived. Look at your relationships. Look at the good ones. The ones that were healthy. The ones that were beginning to feel like home. What happened in your body the moment they got too peaceful? You will remember it if you look. A subtle restlessness, a faint suffocation, a whispering thought that something had gone missing, that you had lost yourself somehow in the calm, that you were dying a small death inside the very stability you had spent years trying to build. And then the fire, the argument that did not need to happen, the withdrawal that could not be explained, the flirtation with someone you had no business flirting with, the strange sudden need to disappear for a weekend. You did not want to leave her. You wanted to cross something. And the only frontier visible to you in that moment was the one made by your own match. Look at your money. Look at the times you had saved enough, the cushion you finally built, the runway that meant you could breathe, and then the impulsive purchase, the risky investment that did not match your strategy, the expensive decision made at midnight after a long week. The moment your bank account stopped feeling like safety and started feeling like sedation, you did not blow up your savings because you are bad with money. You blew up your savings because stability had become unbearable to the engine, and the engine reached for the only frontier it could see. This is the great misdiagnosis of your life. The world looks at the pattern and calls you irresponsible, calls you self-destructive, calls you commitment phobic, calls you a man who cannot finish what he starts. None of those names is accurate. The accurate name is this: you are a man with an uninitiated engine, making peace with the wrong kind of fire. And here is what makes it almost unbearable to confront. You know, somewhere underneath the explanations, underneath the bad timing and bad luck, underneath the carefully constructed stories you have told other people, you have always known. You knew when you sent the message. You knew when you took the bet. You knew when you said the thing that could not be unsaid. You knew when you walked into the room you had no business walking into. The witness saw it all. And the worst part was the silence between the knowing and the doing. That small sacred half-second when you could feel the match in your hand and you chose the fire anyway. Because anything was better than the suffocation of arrival. And here is the cost of decades of this. You have learned not to trust yourself with the good things. This is the deepest wound of the reckless self. Not the wreckage, the mistrust. You no longer believe you can be given something stable and not destroy it. You no longer believe you can be loved peacefully and not eventually set it on fire. You no longer believe you can finish what you start because you have watched yourself sabotage it too many times. So you have begun to protect the world from yourself. You hold back from the good thing. You do not commit fully. You keep one foot out the door of every life you build. You undercommit on purpose so that the inevitable detonation will not destroy something you fully wanted. and the engine watching from beneath the diaphragm recognizes this as another form of suffocation. A slow one, a polite one, but a suffocation all the same. And so the cycle deepens. You contain the fire. The engine starves. The starvation becomes unbearable. The artificial danger arrives. The wreckage confirms your fear. You contain harder. You commit less. You build smaller. And the engine, denied even the smaller fires it used to be allowed, turns the heat inward. This is where the cycle goes from external destruction to internal corrosion. The drinking that crept up on you, the scrolling that ate your evenings, the porn, the food, the strange irritability that has no clear source, the low simmering anger that surfaces at people who do not deserve it, the depression that has begun to sit on your chest in the mornings. These are not separate problems. These are the engine eating itself, a sacred engine with no road, finally turning around to consume its own driver. And this is the price of the containment contract. Not the wreckage you can point to in the past, the slow internal wreckage you are living inside tonight. A life that is too small for what is humming under your ribs. A career that does not ask enough of you. A relationship that has been quietly sedated by your own withholding. A body that has been chewed on by an engine that cannot get out of the garage. And the witness sees it all. The witness has seen every artificial danger you ever manufactured. The witness has seen every project you abandoned at 90%. The witness has seen every match you reached for at midnight. The witness has seen every quiet contraction in the life you are now living. And the witness is not angry with you. The witness understands. The witness knows the engine was sacred. The witness knows the boy was never given a road. The witness knows that what looked like recklessness was really an uninitiated man searching for the frontier the world erased. But the witness also knows this. The artificial danger has run its course. You cannot afford another one. There is too little of your life left to keep blowing it up. There are too few good things left for the engine to keep eating. The cost of one more fire is too high. And tonight, in the honest dark, the engine is hot under your ribs, and you have a choice. You can reach one more time for a manufactured frontier, a message, a purchase, a decision made at 1 in the morning that you will be paying for in 3 months. Or you can do the harder thing, the thing no one ever taught you how to do. You can sit in the engine without reaching for the match, and let the witness finally show you what the engine was actually built to cross. So let us begin the work. Not the thinking, the work. Because the witness has shown you the engine. The witness has shown you the road that was never built. The witness has shown you every match you reached for when the suffocation became unbearable. And seeing is not enough. You have seen yourself before. You have read the books on discipline. You have made the plans. You have promised yourself after the last fire that this time it would be different. And the next fire came anyway, because the containment contract was not signed in your mind. It was signed in your body, in the engine that learned its only frontier was destruction, in the nervous system that learned to reward the wreckage with relief, in the boy on the rock who never came down because no one ever showed him the road. And a contract signed in the body can only be rewritten in the body. So tonight we are not going to rewrite a belief about discipline. We are going to perform an initiation, the one no one ever performed for you. And the initiation begins by giving the engine a different name for what it is hungry for. Not danger, risk, not destruction, discomfort. Not the artificial fire that consumes the life around it. The sacred fire that consumes only what is false in the man who carries it. This is the distinction that has been hidden from you your entire life. There are two kinds of fire. One burns your kingdom. The other forges the king. And the engine cannot tell them apart on its own. That is what an initiation was for. That is what older men used to give younger men. The ability to feel the engine and choose the right fire. You did not get that. So we are going to give it to you now, tonight, in this bed, in this body, in the engine humming under your ribs. Here is the protocol. It has two movements, and both of them are almost insultingly simple and almost impossibly hard for a man who has spent his life reaching for the match. The first movement is called sacred discomfort. The second movement is called voluntary uncertainty. And together, they are the road the world refused to build for you. Start with the first. Sacred discomfort. This is the discomfort you walk into on purpose. Not the discomfort that life hands you against your will. Not the discomfort of the random crisis. Not the discomfort of the manufactured fire. The discomfort you choose. The cold shower at 6 in the morning when the warm one is right there. The long run on the day your body would prefer to stay in bed. The phone call you have been avoiding for 2 weeks. The conversation with your wife where you tell her the truth instead of the easy version. The page of the book that you write even though the words are not coming. The boundary you hold even though it would be easier to let it go. These are not productivity hacks. These are not optimization strategies. These are roads. Small ones at first. 2-lane back roads. Roads the engine can finally drive on without setting fire to the landscape. Here is the somatic mechanism. When you walk into sacred discomfort on purpose, your body experiences the same cascade of sensations as the manufactured crisis. The heart rate climbs. The adrenaline rises. The breath quickens. The mind sharpens. The engine wakes up. The same nervous system response. Only this time, nothing is being destroyed to get it. No relationship is on fire. No money is being thrown away. No bridge is being burned. No future version of yourself is being sold for the high. This is the discovery. The engine does not actually need destruction. It needs activation. And activation can be produced by anything difficult enough to wake the body up, including things that build instead of burn. This is what the older men of the older cultures knew. A long fast wakes the engine. A cold river wakes the engine. A hard climb wakes the engine. A silent vigil wakes the engine. A real fight in a real ring wakes the engine. A difficult truth spoken to a real face wakes the engine. None of these require you to set your life on fire. But all of them give the engine somewhere to go. This is your assignment for tomorrow. Not a list. One thing. Choose one small sacred discomfort. A cold shower. A long walk before the sun is up. A meal skipped on purpose. A conversation initiated that you have been avoiding. A phone left in another room for 2 hours of work. And you do not negotiate with it. The mind will try. The mind will produce extremely intelligent reasons for why tomorrow is not the right day. The mind will produce a more efficient plan. The mind will produce a smaller, safer version of the practice that is no longer uncomfortable enough to matter. That mind is not your friend in this moment. That mind has been working for the containment contract for 30 years. You do not listen to it. You walk into the discomfort anyway, and you let the engine taste a different kind of fire. And here is the part that will surprise you. The engine will recognize it. It will say, finally, this is what I was built for. Not the wreckage, the crossing, a real one, on a road that does not consume the life I have built. That recognition, the first time you feel it, is one of the most important moments of your adult life. Because in that moment, the engine starts to trust you. For the first time, the engine begins to believe that the man in the driver's seat has finally learned the difference between the fires. That brings us to the second movement, voluntary uncertainty. This one is harder because this one cannot be controlled. This is the threshold you walk into without a guaranteed outcome. The thing you commit to before you know if it will work. The conversation you start before you know how it will end. the book you write before you know if anyone will read it, the business you build before you know if it will succeed, the relationship you say yes to before you know if it will last, the man you become before you know if the world will accept him. Sacred discomfort is the cold shower. Voluntary uncertainty is the leap. And the engine needs both. Because the engine was built for crossing. And every real crossing has an other side that cannot be seen from where you are standing. This is what no civilization can simulate. This is what no system, no schedule, no productivity app can manufacture. The genuine leap. The moment when you step off the rock, without a guarantee, towards something you cannot yet see. Listen carefully. The artificial danger is a leap toward nothing. The voluntary uncertainty is a leap toward something. The artificial danger destroys what already exists. The voluntary uncertainty creates what does not yet exist. The artificial danger leaves you with wreckage to clean up. The voluntary uncertainty leaves you with a frontier you have actually crossed. And here is the somatic key. They feel almost the same in the body at the moment of the leap. The heart pounds. The breath shortens. The mind goes wild trying to talk you out of it. The body braces for impact. This is why the engine has confused them your whole life. They feel the same, but they are not. The difference is in what is being put on the line. Are you putting something good at risk to destroy it? Or are you putting yourself at risk to build something new? That is the only question. The witness can tell. The witness has always been able to tell. You just have not been listening to the witness. Tonight you start. You ask the witness one question. There is something in your life right now that the engine has been pushing you toward. You know what it is. A creative project you have been putting off, a conversation you have been avoiding, a move you have been postponing, a truth you have been editing, a commitment you have been refusing to fully make, a version of yourself you have been afraid to step into. And the question is this: is this thing trying to destroy what you have built? Or is it trying to build what you have never let yourself have? Sit with the question, not the answer. The question, because the engine has been pushing for years, and not every push has been a match. Some of those pushes were toward the frontier. You did not know how to tell the difference, so you treated them all the same. You either acted on them as artificial danger or contained them under the containment contract. And the real ones got buried with the wreckage. Tonight, the witness is going to begin sorting them. Not all at once. One at a time. And here is the sovereign contract for the adventurous self. Say it now. not from the mind. From the engine, from the place under your ribs that has been waiting for a road. Movement is life, but not all movement is the same. Movement is life. I will move toward the frontier, not toward the wreckage. I will choose the discomfort that builds over the danger that destroys. I will let the engine cross without burning the life it is crossing through. This is the new contract. Signed not in your mind, signed in the engine itself. And every sacred discomfort you walk into, every voluntary uncertainty you say yes to, every match you do not reach for at 1 a.m, is another signature on that contract. This is the initiation no one gave you. This is the road no civilization built for you. You are going to build it yourself, one small sacred discomfort at a time, one voluntary uncertainty at a time, one witness-led decision at a time, until the engine has a road that does not run through the wreckage of your own life, until the boy on the rock finally hears an answer to the question he has been asking for 30 years. Where am I supposed to go? And the answer comes back in your own voice now, not from outside, not from a culture that abandoned you, not from a father who never had the words, but from the witness in the center of your chest. Forward. You are supposed to go forward. Toward the frontier the world refuses to draw for you. Toward the man only your own crossing can produce. Toward the life that has been waiting on the other side of the leap since you first stood on the rock at the edge of the field and looked at the horizon with the fire in your eyes. So let the engine settle now. Not silenced, not parked, settled. You have done the harder thing, or you have seen for the first time what the harder thing will be. Either way, something in you has shifted tonight. Let your breath find its own pace. Slower now, deeper than it was when we began. Feel the weight of your body against the bed. The simple gravity of being here, held by the earth. At rest, the match is on the floor. Let it stay there. You did not reach for it tonight. That alone is a small initiation, the kind no one is going to clap for, the kind no one will even know you performed. But the witness knows, and the engine knows. The engine in your chest, the one that has been pacing under your ribs for 30 years, has just been spoken to in a language it has never been spoken to in before. Not contained, not sedated, not punished, honored, acknowledged, named, pointed for the first time at the right kind of fire, and it is listening. You can feel it listening, that low hum is still there. It does not go away. It is part of you. It always will be. But tonight, for the first time, it is not screaming. It is humming quietly, the way an engine hums when it has finally been given a road. The boy on the rock at the edge of the field has stopped scanning the horizon for a frontier no one was going to build for him. He has turned around. He has come down off the rock, and he is standing inside the man you have become, finally still, because he knows now that the man around him is going to take him somewhere real. He is tired. Of course he is tired. He has been standing on that rock for 30 years. But he is not afraid anymore, because he has heard something he has waited his whole life to hear. The man whose body he lives inside finally knows the difference between the fires. The boy can sleep now. And here is what you need to understand before this night folds into sleep. What we entered tonight was only one room, the Adventurous Self, one chamber of the castle, one counterfeit kingdom in a much larger house. And the castle is bigger than this room, because behind other doors, other selves are still waiting. Behind one door, the passive self, the one who abandoned his throne to be liked, the one whose buried no is still leaking sideways into 1,000 small surrenders. Behind another, the codependent self, the one who disappears into other people, the one who became an unpaid medic for everyone else's storms. Behind another, the insecure self, the one who braces all night against a danger that never comes, the one whose dish has been turning since he was 6 years old, and behind others still, the one who cannot trust his own knowing, the one exhausted by the mask he cannot remove, the one who calls his control holiness. 7 rooms, 7 selves, 7 thrones, each one waiting for the king to return. You can give the engine a road tonight. You can taste sacred discomfort. You can begin to see the difference between artificial danger and real frontier. You can sign the sovereign contract with your own breath. But if the other rooms remain dark, if the other selves remain exiled, the engine will eventually find its way back to the match. Because a counterfeit kingdom does not need every room to rule you. It only needs the one you refuse to enter. You can give the engine a road and still abandon your throne in your relationships. You can choose voluntary uncertainty in your work and still brace all night against a danger that never comes. The throne in one room means nothing, while the other rooms still belong to the exiles. This is why awareness was never enough. This is why understanding one night cannot rebuild a kingdom. The Matrix will gladly let you understand your starving engine. So long as you never map the rest of the castle, It will gladly let you taste one sacred discomfort. So long as you wake tomorrow and forget there are 6 more doors. Do not forget. This is why I wrote Awaken Your Shadow. Not as self-help. Not as another book to understand and place on the shelf. I wrote it as the map of the entire castle, a descent through all 7 selves, a torch to carry into every darkened room, where a part of you was left waiting. Somatic shadow work, the methodology you have tasted tonight, is the tool you will find inside its pages. A practice for the body, not just the mind. A way of meeting each room as the man you actually are, not the role each room was conscripted into. It is not information. It is a mirror, and it is a weapon of reclamation. Not to wield against the world, but to cut the contracts off the selves you buried and call them one by one back to the throne. So when the light returns, when this night has passed and the noise of the world rises again, pick it up. Read it slowly, not like information, like a mirror. Read it the way a man walks back through his own castle, opening doors he has kept locked for 30 years, torch held high, refusing to look away. But that is tomorrow. Tonight, you have done enough. Tonight you did not reach for the match. Tonight you let the engine be heard without lighting a fire. Tonight you let the witness show you the difference between the fires. And tonight the boy on the rock has finally come down. So let me speak a blessing over you now. A blessing for the uncrowned king who has carried a sacred engine through a civilization that never built him a road. Listen to it with your body, not your mind. The body, that tired animal, that faithful beast, is dismissed. The jaw unclenches, the hand opens, the match falls, and all the fires that tried to become eternal find the one door they cannot follow you through. Blessed is the engine that finally hears its own name. Blessed is the match that falls. Blessed is the hand that finally opens after decades of reaching for the wrong fire. Blessed is the body that walks into sacred discomfort on purpose. Blessed is the leap taken toward something instead of away from it. Blessed is the man who refuses tonight to manufacture one more crisis just to feel alive. Blessed is the boy who has finally come down off the rock. Blessed is the engine whose road is finally being drawn. Blessed is the final gate where the soul walks on, unburdened by the names it was never meant to wear forever. The reckless one, the self-saboteur, the man who cannot finish, the one who always burns it down. You can set those names down now. You are not required to destroy what you love in order to feel alive. You are not required to manufacture a crisis in order to honor the engine. You are not required to apologize for the fire that was always sacred, only misunderstood. Let the hand stay open. Let the match stay where it has fallen. Let the engine hum quietly under the ribs of a man who finally knows what it was for. Let the breath go slow. The boy is down off the rock. The match is on the floor. The engine has found its first real road. And the world does not fear your fire. It fears the moment your fire stops needing to burn what you love just to remind you that you are alive. Tonight, the fire found its true frontier. In a moment, the next episode will begin playing automatically. Stop overthinking. Somatic shadow work for the intuitive self. The knowing that has been drowned out by everyone else's certainty. Stay and let it play. And hold this. One night contains the fire. Directing it day after day is a practice. In Awaken Your Shadow, I name the devil who taught you to confuse destruction with aliveness, and I show you how to feed the fire holy fuel. The audiobook is linked below this video. Click that link now to begin your journey, or continue listening for the next video in this series.